Mike Bush now with the world of sports. The NBA Finals now down to 4 teams, right, Mike?
And 2 of them looked awfully good today. Ed, Game 1 of the NBA's Eastern Conference Finals was one the Boston Celtics would like to put in a bottle and save for posterity. The Philadelphia 76ers would like to put the game in a bottle, too, the disposable kind. About the only highlight all afternoon for the Sixers was Julius Erving, but as Boston's lead ballooned to the second half, Erving just watched Larry Bird score 24. Bird was also in double figures in assists, too. Here he dials long distance for Gerald Henderson and 2 points. Then it's Henderson to Bird to Robert Parrish, who added 24 of his own, as the Celtics embarrass Philadelphia 121-81. Boston takes a 1-game lead in their best-of-7 series. Los Angeles has a 1-game lead over San Antonio in the Western Conference Finals. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had 32 for the winners. San Antonio's George Gervin had 34, but Lakers guard Norm Nixon nearly matched that. He had 31 on the day, as everything seemed to fall into place. 128-117, the good news final for Lakers fans. There was bad news for fans of boxing champion Sugar Ray Leonard. He's out of action for at least 6 months after surgery today to repair a partially detached retina in his left eye. They say silence is golden, but Tulane baseball coach Joe Brockhoff can't agree. His Greenies have been too quiet this weekend, and as a result, they dropped their 3rd straight to Memphis State today. The Greenies mustered but 1 run against Tiger pitching while surrendering 7. Brian Migliore tagged with the loss. He's 2-2, and Tulane is now 36-14 on the year. A bad day for New Orleanians. Well, not all New Orleanians. Homegrown Rusty Staub was a hero in New York today, last of the 9th, and it's a Gurn per Kern. That broke a 5-5 tie with the Giants as the Mets win it 6-5. On the Sunday scoreboard, Jody Davis's 9th inning 3-run homer beat Houston 6-3, LA 5, Montreal 4. The Pirates beat Cincinnati 6-3. Bob Horner belted his 9th HR to beat St. Louis 3-0. And the Padres' Tim Lawler shut out Philadelphia 6-0. Over in the American League, the White Sox shaved Detroit 4-3. Toronto 2-0 over Kansas City. Milwaukee 6, Minnesota 2. The Red Sox 1-0 over Texas. California 8, Baltimore 4. Cleveland ripped Oakland 4-2. And New York leads Seattle 1-0 in the 5th. A very happy Mother's Day for Mrs. Lendl and Mrs. Sneed. That on the other side of this.
Someday soon, you could very well have the best of everything. But you will have to begin somewhere. And the best place to begin is with the very best beer in the world. The best tasting beer wherever you go. When you think about it, why would you ever have anything else?
Come to think of it, I'll have a Heineken.
Something new is here. Something big. Something found in the skies over America, Europe, and the Middle East. Now TWA's here with the lowest fares to more cities in Europe and the Middle East than anyone. Now TWA's here in New Orleans, flying nonstop to New York every day with easy connections to Europe. TWA's here, and that's something big. You're gonna like us, TWA.
When Aaron Broussard entered the mayor's race, the poll said he would probably win it in the first primary. Then Waterloo came out. The voters got angry at Mr. Broussard and came out in large numbers to vote against him. Mr. Broussard knew Waterloo 2 was coming, and it would make the voters even angrier. He couldn't stop Waterloo 2, so he had to stop the voter turnout. He had to turn the voters off. Mr. Broussard started a very expensive and slanderous character assassination of Skip Galan on the media. The voters are subjected to the repeated mutilation of Galan in a fake weekly newspaper. Letters from Broussard supporters tear Galan apart with gusto. A fake phone bank harasses you with calls supposedly from Skip Galan. Broussard's master plan is to turn the people off. Then only Broussard voters turn out, and he wins. This is Mr. Broussard's con game.
Eddie Dibbs is the latest to get trampled in Yvonne Lendl's rush to the bank. At the Tournament of Champions at Forest Hills today, Lendl in the near court here crushed Dibbs 6-1, 6-1 to boost his yearly earnings to over $1 million. Today's prize, $100 grand and a $43,000 fur coat, which should make a nice present for Mom on this Mother's Day. Ed Sneed should be able to afford a nice present for his mom, too, because when Bob Shearer missed this putt on the first sudden death hole of the Houston Open today, Sneed followed with a birdie to win his first tournament in 5 years, and oh yes, the $63,000 prize that went along with it. Football training camps don't open for another couple months, but training has already begun for many NFL players, like Chicago Bear receiver and former Tulane star Marcus Anderson. As a Chicago Bear, Marcus Anderson is known for having good hands, and he'd like to keep it that way. That's why in the offseason, Marcus Anderson works on keeping his legs in shape.
He knows its value. He knows before he can use his hands, he's got to use his legs to get where he's going.
Anderson is finishing up his studies at Tulane, and like many of the Tulane football players, past and present, Anderson is a member of the Tulane track team.
This is excellent off-season training for football. Keeps you in shape all year round. As far as for myself, it gets me in shape because during football season, I'm not really in shape. Track is really what makes me, get in shape.
The NCAA does allow an athlete to be a professional in one sport and an amateur in another. So Marcus Anderson can continue working on his legs so he can become better known for his hands. From Tulane University, this is Mike Bush, News Scene 8 Sports. And that's Sports for Sunday.
Okay, Michael, thank you very much. Mother's Day had a very special meaning for two women from the island of Bermuda today. They were reunited with their two sons here in New Orleans. The two young men had been lost at sea for nearly 2 weeks. News Scene 8's Anne LeBlanc has more on this story.
For 21-year-old Ricky Outerbridge and 24-year-old Dale Abbott, Mother's Day meant a surprising end to a journey that began 13 days ago. The two men started off on a fishing trip from their homes in Bermuda. They developed engine trouble and drifted out to sea. No one heard from them for 8 days. They were presumed dead until a Norwegian freighter on its way to New Orleans sighted them.
Hoped and prayed, and somebody would just spot us, Yeah, and the Viva spotted us.
Rescue ships and search planes had missed the two men. News of their belated rescue was just the miracle that their families had hoped for. Officials of the Bermudan government flew their mothers to New Orleans, and this afternoon the two women surprised their sons as they stepped ashore.
Really delighted. That's Mother's Day present we could ever get.
Norma Outerbridge says she had feared the worst, but her son Andre, who also made the trip to New Orleans, told her that he knew his brother was going to come home.
Oh, I did, but my son Andre didn't. He says, Mother, don't you believe miracles?
Anne LeBlanc, News Scene 8.
And that's News Scene 8 for this Sunday night, the 9th of May. Don't forget to watch USAM for more news at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, immediately followed by Good Morning America. Thanks for joining us this weekend. I'm Ed Eubanks, and from Nancy, Mike, and all of us here at News Scene 8, good night.